to welcome you back to MidPoint. It's a pleasure to welcome back retired U.S. Army Colonel Harvey, and also now joining us, noted attorney, Newsmax contributor, and multiple author. His latest book is called Terror Tunnels: the case for Israel's just war against Hamas. Joining our conversation right now is Alan Dershowitz. And Colonel Harvey, I wanted to give you another chance real quick, because we had to go to that commercial break, to wrap up what you were saying about the likelihood here that Iran walks away from this negotiation with some sort of augmentation to their nuclear energy facilities.
Well, that's probably going to be the case, but I think the point I wanted to make is we are really not focused on our strategic interests in the region, and one of those, just as an example, is our strategic interest is best served by maintaining an independent and sovereign Iraq in that part of the world. And we have allowed Iran to really take over and infiltrate all aspects of governance and security forces in that country, basically Finlandizing Iraq.
And Professor Dershowitz, I would assume you would argue that another one of our main concerns is making sure that Israel is strong, independent, and sovereign as well.
Yeah, and the two are related. Obviously, if ISIS takes over in Iraq, it poses a threat to all of America's allies in the Middle East, including the Saudis, the Emirates, and that's even more true if Iran takes over Iraq, because, you know, although I don't agree generally with President Obama's assessment of ISIS, he's right in using the term junior varsity when you compare ISIS to Iran. I mean, ISIS is terrorists with trucks and knives and swords, but they're retail terrorists. If Iran gets a nuclear bomb, it is a game changer, to quote President Obama. And I think we're giving in too much to Iran in the fight against ISIS and not demanding enough from Iran in its efforts to develop nuclear weapons. So I think we've skewed the balance away from protecting American interests.
And the other concern here, and we've heard this expressed from some people, is that even if this deal is forged, and even if it looks concrete and boilerplate to the rest of the world, there's nothing really stopping Iran from maybe buying a nuclear weapon from some other bad actor.
Well, they can cheat, and that's the other thing. They do it very well. As the negotiations were going on, they were cheating. The MEK, the Mujahideen opposition in Iran, discovered a new facility that neither the United States nor Israeli intelligence were apparently aware of, just north of Tehran. And they cheat as they negotiate. So why do you think they won't cheat over the next 10 years? And once the 10-year clock ticks, they then have a green light, an invitation to develop a nuclear bomb from the United States and the world leaders who negotiated this deal. So this is a very good deal for Iran and not a particularly good deal for the United States.
Well, Colonel Harvey, is there anything that Iran could do to you to symbolize, and I know it would be a long shot, but to symbolize perhaps that they weren't going to cheat?
Well, it's not just the cheating, and that is part of what they do, and they're going to continue to do it because there really is not an effective and intrusive inspection regime that is going to get in there and dig this stuff out. What they can do is cease with the rhetoric, stop supporting terrorism, change their behavior in the region, quit trying to undermine their Gulf neighbors and get Shia populations to create problems in Bahrain and eastern Saudi Arabia. They could change their behavior. That's what we need to see.
And those were the three demands basically made by Prime Minister Netanyahu in front of Congress. Professor Dershowitz, is there anything that you've seen thus far, and we've asked this from some of our other guests, to indicate that this time might be different and Tehran would be even willing to approach any three of those demands? Well,
the brilliance of the Netanyahu proposal is that they don't have to do it now. They just have to do it before the deal lapses in 10 years, as Netanyahu said in his speech, and I was there. He said even if world leaders won't demand that Iran change its behavior before the deal begins, at least let them demand that they change their behavior before the deal ends. So this gives an opportunity for the Iranians to rethink, to reconsider the possibility of regime change, unlikely, but the idea of giving them a green light, an unconditional green light, even David Grossman, who is one of Netanyahu's biggest critics in Israel and a hard left peacenik, just over the weekend said that giving Iranians an unconditional green light in 10 years is, quote, criminal naivete on the part of American negotiators. And the fault lies largely with people like Dianne Feinstein and others who are supporting the deal and basically saying any proposal that Iran would reject really means that the deal will be killed, and we therefore have to give Iran essentially a veto over everything that goes into the deal and poo-pooing every suggestion that comes forward for some changes in the deal. That's the worst negotiating position to be in. The Iranians now believe that we believe that a bad deal is better than no deal, and that this deal, which I think they understand from America's point of view is a bad deal, we have no alternative but to accepting it. And that puts us in a terrible bargaining position, and it means we will be guaranteed to get a bad deal, which hopefully Congress will not agree to.
Well, whether that's the case or not, it certainly appears that way, at least from this outsider's perspective. We want to thank Colonel Derek Harvey for joining us here for this discussion. We're going to ask Professor Dershowitz to stick around, keep talking about some questionable behavior by a student body out on the West Coast involving a Jewish student candidate.